My ELM is on online learning, and this video will demonstrate how action learning, one of the 13 traditional training methods discussed in the chapter, will be used to demonstrate how online learning might work and how we as graduate students and professionals can learn about online learning and the effectiveness of doing it successfully. So this video will demonstrate action learning, like I said, and how teams can creatively work together to solve complex problems and figure out the solutions. Due to the whole COVID situation right now, working in teams may be a lot harder, but with the people in my household, I'm using them as a resource and as a team to demonstrate how action learning can be effective with online learning. How can we as graduate students and professionals use Zoom to teach others and use it well? And how can we use online learning and Zoom as an effective way of helping to train others in the workforce? If you're not using a learning management system to set up Zoom, the most effective way to set up a Zoom meeting is in your Google Calendar, which I will show you basically how to do it now. I will invite my guests, add the video conferencing, add the time, and click Save. I will send my notification to who else is working with me so that they will be able to get an email notification. This will be effective for people who may not know as much about Google and the invitations that they receive. As the host, after I set up the meeting, I'll go into emish.zoom.us so that I can log into my account and start the meeting. Now that I am in my meeting as the host, I will wait for my team members who are helping me with this to come into the meeting so that we can effectively start the training. Here he is. Now that we are both in the Zoom meeting, there are a couple different features that are really good for participants and learners to know about. The unmute and start video screen here in the corner allow for participants to share their screen and talk when applicable. And it creates more of an in-person kind of setting, but from a distance. And it allows for a more inclusive kind of a classroom. The security feature allows for different things to go on throughout the meeting. It allows for participants to share their screen if they want, to rename themselves, to unmute themselves, and to do a variety of other things. This, again, will make the virtual classroom, more inclusive as well. Polls, they can be used anytime throughout a meeting and can allow the instructor to ask what people may need or where people are struggling so that they can get an idea of how to more effectively teach their class and conduct different trainings. So this can go hand in hand with a needs analysis. Questions can be predetermined or questions can be asked as the class goes on and the teacher can do a fair assessment of of the people that they are training. The chat feature allows for anyone and everyone to chat with each other, share links to different sites, and just to try to understand the information better. It allows them to comment when they need to comment or to ask questions when appropriate. Now, if an instructor allows participants to share their screen, they would have to do so in security first and just click the button, and then participants would be able to share their screen as so. And in my example, I'm going to share the whiteboard, a feature that may or may not commonly be used by instructors, but this would be able to help with the online learning. Now, with the whiteboard, both instructors and participants can draw what they want on the screen in order to help get their information across, and it is a way for trainers to engage their participants, their learners, to allow them to understand what's going on. And, where we may raise our hands in an in-person classroom, this is, one of the ways that I have learned in work to get people involved. And as you can see, my team is also commenting. So if you wanted to just chat or have people circle things in a picture or just have people make comments, you can do it with your team, as you can see, which we did. As you can see, both my team and I have annotated the screen and gone over some of the benefits of annotating the screen and how this might be helpful to both the instructor and the learners. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and come back to Zoom and just keep going. There is a record button as well. This record button allows the instructor to record if absolutely needed, but is not necessarily required to keep track of the learners. And if the learners wanted to record the screen, the instructor would get the notification. Breakout rooms are another essential tool for online learning as they allow participants to be broken up into different groups.
So when we have breakout rooms, what's the point of that? What benefit does that give me?
So, being put into a breakout room with a number of other different learners allows you to be put into groups, like I said, and allows you to learn different skills and still communicate with others who might be in the same field as you or in a different field as you, and they may be able to ask questions and answer questions that you may have.
Okay, great.
So that was kind of the gist of what breakout rooms incorporated and how those can be effective to online learning as well. Finally, there are reactions. Reactions just allow for the instructor to maybe get an idea of how participants are doing with their learning and if they are understanding the material.
So I know younger generations would understand those, but is there a way that you can accommodate for older generations, like that might not understand what those reactions all mean?
Yeah, you can actually try to just explain what each of these reactions are. Spend 5 minutes trying to help the older generations who may not understand that. So, yeah, just spending a little bit of extra time with those generations to help them understand what these things mean if they are not yet familiar with them. And that's pretty much all I have about Zoom and how it can be effective for online learning. I know there are questions that my other team members have come up with, so I'm going to let them ask and I will answer.
Yeah, so there's two that go hand in hand. If the my Wi-Fi goes out while I'm in the middle of a meeting, what can I do so I don't miss the a certain part of the training?
So you would actually be able to call into the meeting with your phone. Some instructors may not like you calling in from a phone. Some are maybe perfectly fine with it. It just depends on the instructor and how the class is run. So you could find your meeting ID and password that were given to you in an email and join the meeting through a phone call. The phone number would have also been provided to you. And then once Wi-Fi comes back up, you would be able to join again.
Okay, great. And I have one more. If somehow I accidentally get kicked out of a meeting, how do I get back in? Like if the instructor kicks me out of a meeting, that I get removed from the meeting, how do I get back?
So that is a little bit more of a complicated situation. Um, if you get kicked out of a meeting by the host, it is very, very hard to try to get back in. So the instructor might have to start a new meeting so that everybody can try to come back in the meeting and nobody is kicked out. You may be able to come in on a different IP address or computer, but that just is more of a hassle on your end.
Okay, thank you.
Different generations might need more help understanding how to operate Zoom and other similar video systems like Google Meet or Google Hangouts for training. An HR department and others in an organization may need to spend time with these different generations to help with their training needs. Today, I have demonstrated how action learning can help with online learning and how we, as graduate students and professionals, can use it in our workplaces to help with training and development.